Top 10 running backs. This time we're not doing redraft. We're doing Dynasty. And right here on the screen, I have preemptively my top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Dynasty running backs. Now, your cookie cutter show, your regular Roger, your petrified Peter, your worried William is not going to have Kyron 4. Your worried William's not going to have Achan 5. And I don't care. And the Fantasy Football Show Dynasty Edition begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Dynasty Fantasy Football Show.
Welcome on into the Dynasty Fantasy Football Show. Don't forget the, while I have it on the screen here, the Cooper Kupp video that I dropped on the main channel. But we're here not to talk about Cooper Kupp. We're here to talk about Dynasty running backs. And on screen, in front of your face, I got Travis and Sick Nasty and Matt and Thomas first in the building tonight. Phone lines will be opening in just a little bit. Caps, what's up? Appreciate you all being here. This is a different little show than the other one, isn't it? Because now we have Christian McCaffrey booted out of the top 5. We've got, Derrick Henry nowhere near the top 10, but a lot of familiar faces that just all moved up one spot for me. When we look at my redraft ranking, here's the redraft ranking, which again won't tickle the fancy of just every cookie cutting content creator out there, or a worried William, or a petrified Peter, or an angry Bob, or an angry Unger, an upset Unger, if you will. These running backs probably don't jive with everybody. Kyron, Achan. Oh, Kyron, I'm scared of him in redraft at number 5. Well, if you're scared of him in redraft at number 5, this is my redraft. As of June 10, my redraft running back rankings. If this scares you, I'm pretty sure that this is going to scare you. Okay, and this is, again, Dynasty. So let me actually correct this. This said redraft when I started. I'm going to change this to Dynasty, and then I'll make it a different color so that you can kind of tell the difference between what we're looking at. So Dynasty, we'll make this like a purple or something, bright. That's kind of the color I tend to use for the Dynasty channel colors, so you guys can kind of distinguish what's what. Is this like bright kind of purple, just to give it just some pop. And so here's the Dynasty running back rankings. If I go back to the redraft real quick, you'll notice that it's Bijan, Christian McCaffrey, Hall, Gibbs, Kyron, Achan. But if we go to the Dynasty rankings, the only thing that happens is CMC drops out, and Achan, Kyron, Gibbs, and Hall in the same order scoot and close the gap. The difference is going to be from this side on, which we're going to empty out and kind of start from scratch, right? So everybody slides over. Christian McCaffrey falls out. Hall jumps to 2 instead of 3. Gibbs goes to 3 instead of 4. Kyron goes to 4 instead of 5. And Achan goes to 5 instead of 6. That's simple. I mean, I've combed through it. I don't even have a hesitation on this. I don't even equivocate. I don't stutter or stop or pause or hesitate. This is my top 5 Dynasty running backs, and I don't care what anybody says. I just don't. This is how I feel. This is how I view it. The real dilemma is going to be, where in the hell do we put this next running back, or who do we put at number 6 overall? I'll even drag the number 6 over. And if you guys want to have a conversation in the live chat before we do it, by all means, drop your thoughts. Do you have Christian McCaffrey? Travis is saying he has McCaffrey higher than or he still has him pretty high. I can't have him 6 because he's maybe playing, if we're lucky, at the age of 28, the same year that everybody thought Eckler was going to just tear through last year because he played so well at 27 the year prior in 2022. He entered his 28-year-old season last year in 2023, and everybody and their mother, but your boy, who said avoid him on draft day all offseason, he's gonna have some problems. He's gonna have a drop off. I'm not saying McCaffrey necessarily drops off, but the risk is massive. So 1 year, I can't do it. I can't put McCaffrey in the top 6 with 1 year left. If we're lucky, we get that 1 year. So McCaffrey's still not in this mix. As much as I love Najee, Warren could be the starter at the end of the year. I like Najee a lot. I do, and he's dropping He's dropping some weight. He looks really good. JT's definitely in the consideration. I'm going to put him up here. He's going to be like 6, 7, or 8, obviously. Brooks is 100% in the conversation. Walker, you know what? If we hear news that the Seahawks are going to give him 100-yard game on the regular this year on the ground, and they're like, we're going to feed the hell out of him. We're going to give him 1,500 yards, or they come out and say he's going to break the rushing record. Nothing we'll believe, right? But you hear that, you know they want to run the damn ball finally with him. But until then, he's kind of here with Najee. Like, I like him a lot. He's crafty, he's sneaky. He's a great value in Dynasty, but there's no way I can put him in this kind of conversation. So he goes over here. Zamir White. We love Zamir White, but he's kind of part. I said this on my Patreon. You guys haven't joined the Patreon. Make sure you get on over there and join the Patreon. I'll drop the link right now in the live chat, and we'll pin it. But this is the Patreon where we're having 10 live chats, 365, 24/7, and then exclusive content. The Patreon is that simple. Exclusive content and 10 live chats that are always going. Game day chat, trade chat, dynasty chat. And the first 200 people get into a huge, massive 240 plus man league. So make sure you get on that. So join my Patreon. Here's the link, and I'll pin that in the live chat right now. Let me grab that. Boom. Actually, I can't pin it right now. I will pin it later. There's the link. On the Patreon, I said this a few minutes ago. I said that, honestly, it's like Kenneth Walker or even other running backs, for that matter, that fall into this wheelhouse, like Najee. These guys all feel like they're part, Zamir White specifically, feels like they're part Tony Pollard from what we expected Pollard to be in 2023, and part Tony Pollard what he actually became and what he didn't do. So we have that fear with Najee. We have that fear with Zamir White. We have that fear with Walker. But keep in mind that Pollard had the upside. There was no doubt about Pollard, especially if he didn't get hurt and he walked into that year healthy instead of having to come back from the injury. But I mean, White is very much somebody we love, but someone we can't put at 6 overall. Rashad White, I mean, they wanted to bring in a running back. They didn't bring in a workhorse, but they wanted to maybe have somebody spell him between the tackles because he wasn't getting good yards per carry. Benson, as much as other people won't be able to understand this ranking, he's in the mix here because I'm not saying he's 6 yet, but some will say we got to see what he does on the field first, but I love him. I think he's going to be phenomenal. Pacheco, as much as I love Pacheco, the KC Chiefs have been very inconsistent from year to year, proven. This is still going to be the first year we've seen in a handful of years that they will have done what they did at the end of the year, carried over to the beginning of the year, because this was our moon man. If you remember, we got so much pushback. No one was higher on Isaiah Pacheco than I or this channel in our community. Nobody. He was a moon man last year. We got tons of pushback. He had an awful start to the season, and he didn't grab a hold of the job until later, and then everybody started getting on board. There's no guarantee that for a long-term amount of time that this guy is going to be good enough to earn you 6 overall value. He very much is in the same bucket as Najee, Walker, White, etc. And so, Christian McCaffrey again is down here. We can't put him here because he's just not going to. White's over here as well, Rashad White. Look, Etienne, he's got to be in the top 10. I mean, Ziggy, how old is Travis Etienne?
Travis Etienne Jr. is 25 years old and was born
still
on
so
January
young.
26, 1999.
Just turned 25. I mean, God, he's still so young. 25 years old.
Still Believe, featuring EDI memes.
Ziggy off. Calm down, bro. He gets a little out of control. He gets a little cocky once you ask him a question. He thinks he can just come up with stuff. So Etienne's got to be in here. At 25 years old, he's been playing out of his mind. We do worry about what they do. Do they run him less, or they keep saying they're gonna and they don't? He's up there. This might sound okay. I'm sorry. We have a couple more RBs we need to get to. Barkley, he's older. Ziggy, how old is Saquon Barkley? We know how old he is, but we want to find his birthday. Ziggy, how old is Saquon Barkley? Do your job.
Saquon Barkley is 27 years old and was born on February
February.
9,
So just turned
1997.
27. Ziggy off. You can't 27. This was the year Eckler had his big last final year, and then he fell off the face of the earth. As much as we love him, we love this man to death, we cannot have Barkley number 6 because he has, in redraft, I'll show you the redraft rankings again. He's number 7. He's number 7. Christian McCaffrey, same order so far, minus we took McCaffrey out, right? And then we scooted everybody up one, and then Barkley was next on the board. Not going to be the case. Ziggy, how old is Josh Jacobs?
Josh Jacobs is 26 years old and was born on February 11th, 1998.
Okay, so 26, that means he plays 26, he plays 27, he plays probably 28. That's 3 years. That's better. Jacobs has to rank ahead of Saquon Barkley from a dynasty perspective because he has potentially 2 more years, but at least 1 more year. So Barkley, unfortunately, is going to go kind of where Christian McCaffrey is, like over here waiting potentially. Derrick Henry, we can't even have a conversation about Derrick Henry, even anywhere remotely close to the top 10. Jacobs has to be in this mix. So for me, and I don't know if I'm missing anybody, throw out a name if you feel like, I'm missing something. Etienne, Walker, Pacheco, Rashad White, McCaffrey, Benson, Brooks, Saquon. Zach Moss, but I don't know about long-term. Stevenson, I love him, but he's more of we need to see this thing turn back around before we even get, I'm there. I don't think there's a running back I'm missing that needs to be in this consideration. I'm going to scroll a little bit. Jerome Ford, we love him, but that's not somebody we're bringing up here. Blake Corum, you say that he's a cuff. He's a backup running back. He's a water boy. Go get Kyron a coffee. Go get him a coffee. Go get him a coffee now. He likes it. He likes it fresh and ready to go. 2 sugars and bring it stat, please. I don't want to hear that crap. Here we are. Bold time, baby. Bold time baby's what they call me. What do we say JT's age was? Ziggy, how old is Jonathan Taylor? When was his birthday?
Jonathan Taylor is 25 years old and was born on January 19th, 1999.
He's so young as well. I think we got to go JT here. 25 years old, ETN, 26 years old. Ziggy, how old is Travis Etienne? He was 26 or 20 turning.
Travis Etienne Jr. is 25 years old.
He's 25 as well.
Born on January 26th.
Ziggy off. Same age. Okay, so 6 and 7. I'm going to go JT and Etienne. I'm going to go Brooks at 8. I'm going to go Brooks at 8, even though I like Benson. I like Benson a little more. I do. I could change this later. I'm going to go Benson at 9. I'm going to move everybody down here. I'm sorry, guys. You didn't make the cut. You just didn't. It doesn't matter how much I like you. You have a lot of upside. It doesn't mean we don't like any of these players. CMC still in a conversation of like 10, 11, 12 just because you could win now. But I can't. And then Jacobs at number 10 because he's still young. He's still young. This is my top 10 dynasty running back rankings right here. I could swap out these 4 right here just with the wind blowing, at a steady 4 or 5 degrees Fahrenheit with a mix of a gigawatt flux capacitor component with megastructures and component structures that equal something that came to the conclusion on this channel of the calculation and cold hard math data that helped us derive to this equation. But the continuum of the gigawatt component structure of Jahmyr Gibbs's workload divide has a megawatt offload that if you compartmentalize the component conjunction timekeeper and you flux capacitor out the continuum component megabolt, things just end up happening. And that's why Jahmyr Gibbs is a top 5 to 10 running back instead of top 6 to 10. So now you kind of know where the science comes from, but you could argue this Jacobs took a toll on his body. Maybe he doesn't, thrive for 3 years like we think he could, and maybe you want Walker there. These are all very, very arguable cases to be made. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, Barkley, you're in it for the now. You're winning cash money. There's a lot of reasons you could go in any of these directions. Najee, Henry is not in this mix, but Rashad White, very much like all these guys. But these are my top 10 running backs. And again, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 can all be jostled around just from getting excited or watching some YouTube footage of Benson, breaking off a early preseason touchdown run that's incoming. Benson's my wild card here. Benson, I could have number 6, really. Like in a couple days or a week or a month or a couple hours. Maybe I'll wake up in a cold sweat, unable to forgive myself, remembrance of this live stream, and I wake up and I scream, Benson! And Miss Smitty's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I made a mistake, Miss Smitty. And she's like, just go do it. Go redo the live stream. I'm going to get up, fire on the lights in the studio, and do something a little. Ziggy, studio off. I'm going to walk into the studio.
Doesn't support that.
Ziggy, studio off. Ziggy, deactivate. God, sometimes you got to I'm going to walk into the studio. Ziggy, studio on. And I'm just going to go, God, he's worthless. He's worthless. Ziggy, studio on. Ziggy, activate. Bypass. Okay. Good God. And at least he's got some back. There's some back end code that we can tap into and make this man do his damn job. Yeah. Look, I might be back here in 2 hours doing a redo, a oopsie live stream saying Benson should be 6. I'm sorry. I'll climb in Mama's lap and cry like Caleb and say Benson should be 6. I folded like a cheap chair, and I let the pressures of JT Etienne make me place them ahead of Benson because I was a scared Scotty. I could easily see myself waking up and pulling that live stream out of my rear end. But for right now, this is the way that it works. It looks good. It feels good. I think one could argue a little bit here and there. This is Dynasty. First of all, this is a ranking show. Redraft, Dynasty, especially Dynasty. This is like doing an NFL mock draft. No one's going to agree with anybody. And the further you get down, 1, 2, 3, 4, start getting a little bit, okay, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can't believe you have him at 9. Where's so-and-so at 10? Somebody's going to come strolling in here, and they're going to say something like in the comments. They'll be like, Smitty, where's James Cook? Smitty, I just got to say, I don't understand why you don't have, Alvin Kamara on this Dynasty list. I heard he's doing well right now, and it is what it is. This is just my ranking. Brooks and Benson are my 2 wild cards here that I easily could grab both of them. Just do a little pincheroo and put them right at 6 and 7 and knock JT and Etienne down to 8 and 9. But that's just, the wind needs to blow a little bit harder tomorrow for that to happen. Let's open the phone lines briefly. We won't be here too long. We got 60 people in the building, sum total. How many we got about 30 to 40 from YouTube. Hit that thumb up button. I think we only have 16 thumbs up. Half of you have punched the thumb up button. We're here way past midnight Eastern, and I've got 17 thumbs up. Wipe your feet, please, at the front door. Phone lines are open. Dial in. Call
into the show. Call into the show.
Dial into the show, and we will discuss, some of this, which is very, very arguable. There's so much, you can move around. To be honest with you, I did this on the fly. I didn't even have it. I set up the first, 5, and I winged it. That's the way I like to do it. I don't like to come in here with my Excel sheet and be like, hello, I'm Eric, Excel sheet Eric, and I compiled the data, and no matter what my gut tells me, this is what we're putting on the board. This is me moving it around, massaging it live. Pause. Travis, you're live.
Hey, it's funny because I just did it off the top of my head, I actually had the first 8, same as you, and then I had Walker and Stevenson for 9, 10, and I'd probably have Benson and Jacobs right behind them. So, and then I was thinking about it in terms of CMC and Henry, and like I had to kind of rethink, like, because it is Dynasty. I guess I wouldn't rank CMC really high, but there's definitely situations where I draft them in a Dynasty league, depending on how the board falls or what the team is like and stuff like that. So I guess I have to. I guess I should have to kind of rethink that, because it doesn't make sense to rank them if we're only looking at 1 or 2 years,
Yeah, and you're holding your. I mean, you might not be, but I'm holding my breath that he has one good year left. So it's like you could just be. And it's so hard. Anybody new to Dynasty, it's so hard to rebuild like from something like that. If you draft CMC and the wheels fall off right away, like imagine drafting Eckler. Imagine drafting Eckler as your running back one in a Dynasty startup last year. You'd be toast. Like, so it's really, really tough. But yeah, I mean, I don't even think there's a way to debate that somebody was left off. Like, I mean, I'm talking about like even right here though. I mean, like I don't sum total. I don't know that there's anybody that I left off that not saying that somebody couldn't be in this mix here. Like if someone said, hey, I really think, let me just throw a name out. Like say someone like DeAndre Swift, he could be in this bucket of players here. Like, sure. But I'm saying I tried to include every player we would possibly consider for 10 overall, not for a fight with these guys. Like some of these guys dip so low that like somebody's close to their value. And then somebody says, well, what about, Blake Corum being competitive with Henry? I'm not trying to do that. We tried to say who is worth considering. I'll even take Henry off. Who's worth considering for the 10 spot or above? I'm looking through the rankings right now. I can't argue at all that somebody was left off. Mixon, too old. Montgomery, no thank you.
Yeah.
Ford, we like him, but
someone's
he's not. Yeah.
James Cook, someone's asking about.
No, not in a top 10 running back dynasty consideration. I can't do it. Not the way that Buffalo uses their RB. There's zero chance he's being considered in that. Like he could be in this bucket of player here to try and get at the tail end or compete for one of those. But this is who we putting in our top 10. You can't put James Cook ahead of Benson and Jacobs and Brooks and Etienne and JT. There's just no way. And then guys like Walker and Rashad White and those guys all have preference. Even CMC would have more of a shot than getting. I draft CMC for 1 year to win cash money in my pocket for just whatever I wanted for that specific year before I'm drafting James Cook ahead of Christian McCaffrey.
So what puts Najee into that like glob of players there for you? Because to me, like I think he's good, but aside from his first year when he just got dump offs from Big Ben because he couldn't throw, he's never been efficient. He's never, we haven't seen like anything elite from him. He doesn't break big runs, So I'm just curious, like. I guess he's borderline in that he belongs in there, but
in all honesty, he got carried over from this redraft list right here. So like I just deleted Henry, I could technically delete Najee, like I just did Henry. He was a carryover just when I had this group of players down below.
Okay, gotcha.
But at the same time, like. If you tell me you can cuff
Smith's there now.
Well, if you cuff Najee and Warren together, then I kind of feel like there's a debate. There's a debate to be had because he has the ability, in my opinion, not to go against what you're saying a little bit, but not much. I think Najee's got the upside. I think he's really, really solid. I just don't know if he's elite. He could get there. He's changing his body.
No, I agree with that.
He's changing his body frame and size and the way he plays, so we kind of still need to judge that. Ziggy, how old is Najee Harris? I think his birthday is... Ziggy,
25,
how old is Najee Harris? You son of a bee.
Najee Harris is 26 years old and was born on March 9th, 1998.
Yeah, Ziggy off. So it's still so young. I mean, young for an RB.
Kinda.
Yeah, young for an RB.
2 years left.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess at the end of the day. So, yeah, maybe not young. I guess describing him as young is wrong. Not so young. He's still.
It's a fine line.
Yeah. The thing is, like when you got
young and old happens fast.
Yeah, it does as running backs. JT at 25 and ETN at 25 and Najee at 26. You know, it makes it. Yeah, I mean that's why you don't have Najee in my top 10 at all. I'm just saying the reason I kept him on this list where you have Barkley and I just think if you cuffed him, then it would be okay.
Yeah,
but I could X him off
Arthur
right here.
Smith is there, so
Smitty, how much?
you know they could run a ton.
How much am I paying Ziggy per hour? Let me ask him. Ziggy, how much do you make per hour?
Sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah, because he's still waiting on his first check. I'm sorry, I have not received my check. Thank you, Rock. I appreciate you. I don't know who I would. Again, the only person I would say would bump one of these guys out would be Barkley, maybe Rashad White, maybe Pacheco. I mean, Zamir's fun, but I think he's like 11 to 15. And then, Christian McCaffrey, like you said, if you're building some, like, hey, I'm drafting with a bunch of guys I don't trust, this league could fold in 3 years, then, win year one with Christian McCaffrey, cuff him to Garendo, and then maybe Garendo replaces him, and all of a sudden you're like, damn, I did a beautiful job of winning a bunch of cash money in year one. So there are worlds where I could see myself drafting CMC at 10 or 11 as a 10-11 running back, not 10-11 overall, in a dynasty startup setting if I felt that way. But if I'm drafting with a bunch of solid people, there's no chance in hell I'm taking CMC in my top 10 running backs when I can grab a Benson for, have him for like 5 or 6 years, Brooks for 5 or 6 years, ETN for 3 or 4 years, JT for 3 or 4 years, or Jacobs for 2 to 3 years. And then, of course, this, arsenal up here that nobody's even coming. You aren't hearing me even breathe even one sentence or even one word relating to these guys penetrating the top 5 in this elite tier up here. No.
Yeah, I mean the once you get past that 5. I guess if people wanted to, they could argue HN, but I wouldn't. I think he's pretty steady top 5 because just of potential and efficiency. But once you get past it, like you said, it's hard to argue and be confident in the argument that you're 100% right once you get past 5.
When people say silly things like HN isn't worthy of being in this top 5 consideration or whatever, I love to pull this chart up because the chart, this game log at least, it makes you really remember what it is you're currently not thinking about. 9-24, and I know these matchups, the Giants and the Broncos weren't super crazy, but Buffalo, I mean, that's a good matchup. So 203 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. 4 receptions for 30 yards and 2 touchdowns via the air. This man had 4 touchdowns and 233 total yards in this breakout
and
game.
Was running too.
Yeah,
that's the other thing. There was another good running back running with him.
Yeah, they both had like running back 1 and running back 2, or running back 1 and running back 3 weeks. HN was the number 1 running back, I believe, that week, and Mostert was 2 or 3. He had I think he had 200 yards. I think he had 200 yards and 3 touchdowns or something that week. Buffalo, 101 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 5 for 19, 0 touchdowns receiving. The next game, 151, 1 touchdown, 14 yards receiving, 0. Like, people forget how electric he was. This is 7 touchdowns in 3 games. 7 touchdowns in 3 games with a 13.7 average, a 12.6, and 11.3. And then you had a gap in play. I get it. He's injured. Everybody's upset and pissed off. But look at this December game against the Washington Commanders. 73 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. And then this kind of like gap in production where people gave up on him. You know, that happens. Every running back. We'll look at Gibbs. We'll look at Christian McCaffrey. There are going to be lows. 107 yards in this Baltimore matchup in December, and then January on the 7th of January, you have this 56-yard, 1 touchdown game, 10 carries, 5.6 a pop. This guy was just a marvel, and anybody that doesn't remember it, it's you just need to see it, because it's not like you could say something like, hey, Smitty, he had 100 yards and a touchdown in 5 games, spread out. Like, to see him score 4 tutties in 1 game, and then 100 yards and a touch, and 100 yards and a touch, and it's just
He's
like
a rookie too.
you can't trip and fall into 3 straight games like this. You cannot trip and fall into 3 straight games like this. Is why I love Christian Watson so much, is because Christian Watson had the same sort of like 3-game spurt. You just can't have this kind of 203, 101, and 151 off of essentially 28, less than 40 carries. He had this huge monster run here with 7 touchdowns. You just can't trip and fall into that. There's no way. Not to mention we got some replication of it up here in small doses. This 2-touchdown game here. Oh, and I forgot. I'm sorry. I didn't even mention this Baltimore game. Look, you want to talk about tough matchups here. This Baltimore matchup and this Buffalo matchup is where he had this, this touchdown here at 56 yards. Then right here against Baltimore, I didn't even mention it, 107 yards and 0 rushing touchdowns, but he had the 5 for 30 and a receiving touchdown. So his 11 touchdowns were spread out, but I mean, he just, this guy is going to, he's going to have 15 total touchdowns in my opinion. 15 total touchdowns, at least I would say at bare minimum 15 to 16 to 1700 total yards rushing, receiving, and he's looking at like a 55 to 65 reception season. It's going to explode.
That's what I was going to say, is the receiving part of it too. I mean, you just looking at the rushing there where he's just going off, but you look over at the receiving and he's got, again, as a rookie, 3, 4, 5, 9, catches in a game. I mean,
yeah, it's 20
any time he can explode too.
2023 stats, 7.8 yards per carry, which qualifies him because he hasn't had the amount of carries a typical player you're having this discussion about has. You could find him not in the data unless you filter it down to his carry total entry point. But he is right now currently, of running backs you would consider qualified to have this conversation. Not somebody that had 4 carries, somebody had 10 carries their entire career. Talking about like a running back that's playing football starting. He is the number 1 running back in NFL history in yards per carry at 7.8, which is so remarkable that he had this kind of year. I mean, he had 800 yards, he had 197 receiving, and 11 touchdowns. Very utilized. He has the number 1 breakaway rating in the National Football League from last year, and he has the number 1 elusive rating. He's ranked number 1 in the National Football League in elusiveness. He comes to the table with elite skills, and like I've said, Miami Mike McDaniel, this coach of this Dolphins squad, architected the Deebo Samuel wide back role. And while it doesn't get talked about, I don't know why we don't talk about at least I do almost every day, but you don't hear anybody else mention that he's playing a sort of wide back role inverted for Mike McDaniel. Like, he is wide back. He's the wide back. He's just coming from the running back position, playing the wide receiver position, versus Deebo doing it the other way. But everyone thought Tyreek Hill or Waddle would be the wide back of the Miami Mike McDaniel system. But no, Miami Mike had a trick up his sleeve, and it was Achane, and no one really even saw it coming. We just thought, oh, he's going to be a running back. But no, that's why Wright doesn't scare me. That's why Mostert doesn't scare me. That's why Wright and Mostert, even if they were to both play, don't scare me, because this man's not getting his work taken away. He's compartmentalized in a role similar, inverted version of Deebo Samuel's role, and he's protected. His workload's protected, and you're going to get him to have 10, 11, 12 carries and 4 or 5 receptions. That's what you want out of Devon Achane. And even if he got, let's say, we'll call it 5.9 yards per carry, let's say, times 12 carries is 70 yards a game, times 17 games is 1203. So that's my 1,100 yards factors in a missed game or less yards per carry, or some games he doesn't get 12 carries. So he gets you 1,100 yards off of about like 10 to 11 to 12 carries a game. And then this 55 receptions divided by 17 gives you 3.2. These numbers are all lowballing. I'm lowballing. Yeah. He could get 4
games he has 8 or 10 receptions. He's
right.
Gonna have a couple of those games too.
Right. So, and then you look at let's call it 15 touchdowns, which this is easy math to do, but divided by 17 it gets you the exact 8.88 touchdowns per game. Like, if he's playing, he's getting more than 1 touchdown per game. Like. You know what I mean? So if he plays 8 games, he's scoring 9 touchdowns, like something like that. So if he does in fact play 17 games, he's probably scoring 20 touchdowns. I'm not saying he's locked to score 20. Maybe he misses 2 or 3 games. I don't know. And I'm not worried about the long term, like him missing games and becoming too brittle for the NFL. He just put on 10 to 12 pounds of muscle, pure muscle. On top of the fact that that's not going to affect his speed. He's the most elusive running back in the National Football League. He could afford to slow down even a fraction, and he's probably not going to slow down a fraction because he's so young and he can adapt to that. Whereas what you don't want is a running back that's 26, 27 years old trying to lose weight or gain weight because their entire life they've been playing football at a certain size. He's still a young kid. Ziggy, how old is Devon Achane?
According to Fandom, Jim's age is unknown.
Jim,
possibly late 40s,
Ziggy,
early 50s.
How old is Devon Achane? He might call him Achane. I bet.
Deebo Chan is 26
No.
Deebo is a fictional character from the film The Fast and the Furious.
Ziggy off. Okay, let's see how would he say his name. Ziggy, how old is Devon Achane?
From celebswood.com. He is 49 years old.
No, that's old. He's in trouble. Ziggy off. You're worthless. You are absolutely.
Ziggy's in trouble tonight.
Devon Achane age 22, October. So he turns 23. God, man. Look, you're CeeDee Lamb. Just for anybody who doesn't know this, CeeDee Lamb grew a half of an inch at 22 years old. He came home, and his mom probably barely recognized him because he came in taller, looking different. That is remarkable when you think about that. That CeeDee Lamb grew a half an inch at 22 years old when he was in the NFL. When he was in the NFL during not this offseason but the last offseason, CeeDee Lamb grew a half of an inch. That means Devon Achane. Doesn't matter if he changes weights right now. He's just getting into his skin. It's different when you're 26, 27 years old doing it. So I love that he's putting on the weight now, getting used to the weight now, and he's going to be able to absorb the hit. But what I was going to say earlier is that Devon Achane getting hurt, he had a knee injury that you, your mom, my mom, your dad, your Uncle Buck, any NFL player could have suffered. And his re-injury when he returned to the game and somebody did a suplex right onto his knee, which didn't even injure it again necessarily because he said he could have played. It's just Mike McDaniel just said, get out. I want to make sure you're good for the playoffs. And they pulled him out. They rested him another couple weeks, I remember. This is not something that was caused because he's small. This was a freak knee injury and then a freak kind of almost re-injury, but it didn't even get injured. People are out of their mind that think that he's been proven to be an injury risk because those injuries, you can't use those injuries. Those are not something that you're going to This is, you know, it's not like he tore his ACL or something and he's coming back from that. I'm talking about MCLs. We're talking about things that can heal. He's going to be fine.
Yeah, and with the touchdown thing too, even if Mostert plays every single game, every single down, whatever, the chances he scores 18 touchdowns again is very small. You know, just to hit that mark. I mean, he never had more than 8 in his career, and those things rarely happen with guys like him 2 years in a row.
Yeah, and real quickly, just to do the math real quick, let's just figure this out. Let's say Achane got 10 carries a game at 5.9 yards per carry. Let's not give him 7.8. Let's give him 5.9. 5.9 yards per carry. I wanted to go underneath 6 so people would like not freak out. 5.9 times 10 is 59. Okay, so 59 yards a game. So that's 5.9 point fantasy points. Okay, then he's gonna score. What do we say? He's gonna score
0.88. You had 0.88 touchdowns a game.
But is that what we're concluding, or are we going to say it's 15?
I guess it's basically 15 anyway.
Yeah.
So I'd round
Okay.
up to
15 divided. Okay. So 0.88. Okay. Sorry. So we're going to say he's going to get. Let's see here. 5.3 TD points per game. This is rushing yards. So let me put this on screen. So Achane's going to get 5.9 rushing yard fantasy points per game, 5.3 touchdown points per game. We said that he was going to pull in, let's just call it, is 3.5 receptions per game. That was about what we're at. Yeah. So that seems very reasonable. So 3.5 points per reception per game. And then let's call it 500 receiving yards or 450. What do you want? We can be conservative. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, go conservative for the heck of it. 450
divided by, what was it, 17. So 26.4. So 2.6 fantasy points per game. So 3 point
receiving touchdowns.
Oh, I think that was total touchdowns. We said 15 total touchdowns.
Okay, total. Okay, yeah, you're good then. Yep.
So 3.5 plus 5.3 plus 5.9. So that's 17.3 fantasy points per game.
Yep. Conservatively speaking.
Very conservatively, times 17 games is 294 points per game. What would that rank in fantasy football running back scoring from last year? I'm going to go into one of my random leagues. I'm going to go into let's go into the Mars Man League. That's a good one to look at. We're going to go to leaders, season stats, 2023, sort by RBs. I hate when it refreshes on you after you do all the work. What the hell is going on here? What is going on with this? Christian McCaffrey was 388. Breece Hall was 288. That means that off this conservative number, he would have been second overall last year in running back scoring. And that's if Christian McCaffrey does. If Christian McCaffrey does not repeat what he did, Achane could be running back 1 overall. This is remarkable.
Because that's 59 yards a game times 17. That's just barely cracking 1,000-yard rushing for him. So that's very conservative.
Yeah, this is remarkable. Did I do the math right on that? Like,
I think so. I mean, anyone in the strat disagrees.
I mean, this was Breece Hall last year, 288 fantasy points. And we just did a very conservative estimation off of 10 10 rushing attempts, 15 TDs on the year, and we said 3.5. What was 3.5? 3.5 times 17 is 59 receptions. So this is 59 receptions, which is totally doable, and this was 450 receiving yards. So 10 rushes a game, 15 touchdowns, which might be the one thing people will say we're highballing, I guess. And then these are pretty low. Yeah. This is remarkable when you look at this. This is if he doesn't become something that he very well could become, which is a bigger monster than these like average usage. This is average usage. This is not like overutilizing Devon Achane. Like he would.
So even say, all right, if people say no way he scored 15 touchdowns, if you do 10 touchdowns, that's 30 less points, right? Because it's six points a touchdown, correct? So if you take 30 points off that, he's still the number 5 back, I think, tied with Rashad White at 264.
Crazy, bro. That's crazy. I think I just moved. I might have moved Achane up to number 1 over. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe it moved to 4. I don't know.
I was just gonna say he's creeping on Kyron doing those numbers.
I got to do a whole video on this on the main channel. This is good.
Yeah, it's interesting when you break it down that way and do it with like the conservative numbers on guys too.
Yeah, maybe I'll clip this part, the math part, and then do a video around it, the beginning and end with the middle part clipped, and do it for tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, so even if someone wants to say no chance he scores 15 touchdowns, he only scores 10, he's still a top 5 back.
So if he had 264 points with 10 TDs.
It would be 10 touchdowns, yeah.
Yeah, so 264 with 10 TDs. 264 would put him in this format that I'm looking at. It would put him at number 5. So if he has 10 touchdowns, 10 rushing attempts per game, 3.5 receptions per game, and just has to hit that 450 receiving yard mark, he's the number 5 running back. That's unreal. All right, Travis, I'm going to keep this one short because we're on the Dynasty channel. Thanks for coming on.
Yep.
All right, bro. Appreciate you.
No problem. Talk to you later.
All right, guys, I'm out of here. Don't forget, we did the breaking news show. Go watch this news show. It's up on the channel. You can, on the main channel. You can go look for that. You can also look for the Cooper Cup video. Those are all on the main channel. I'm live on the main channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm also live on the main channel whenever news breaks. I'm live more than anybody you've ever met in your life. If you find this Dynasty channel and it's the first time you've been exposed to the content, you're watching the little itty-bitty Mickey Mouse Dynasty channel that we have that we're trying to grow into a monster. So get ready for that. But the main channel is where it's really where it's at. We're trying to make this where it's at as well. I really want to turn this Dynasty channel into the best Dynasty channel on YouTube. I think it already is, but people just need to know about it. We're also live on the main channel most midnights drafting. And then yeah, and I think we got a live draft that we haven't filled yet. 3 more to start. So if anybody wants to get in on a private draft, 1 more to start now. Here's a link to do this draft. Click this. This is Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty, where you can get 50% match on your first deposit using code Smitty or the link that I just dropped. So click that link. If you don't get into that draft, if it says full or whatever, it just goes to the main draft page. You can draft. But you'll at least be ready for the drafts when we're ready to rumble in the midnight shows. So midnight, we're live again. I'm live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, live whenever big news breaks. I'm live at most midnights. That means that we're sometimes set up for 3 live streams on the main channel in one day. That's how busy we are. Also, we got the Patreon right here. If anybody wants to be a part of the live chat community, we got 10 live chats that are constantly 365 going. Let me paste that link right here for anybody. I think I pinned it. Did I pin it? No, I didn't pin it. Here's the link right here. Jump in to the Discord. or the Discord, the Patreon. It's $10 per month for the Patreon. The live chat's amazing. So much better than the Discord. And there's also exclusive content. And the first 200 people get into a 242-man league that will draft all of the drafts for these leagues on the channel. And the winners of the 11 leagues, because it'll be 11 leagues of 22 people. I'm going to explain the details later. The winners of all 11 leagues get shoved into a Dynasty startup draft. 12-man, then it turns into a normal league there. 12-man league. And essentially, it'll be the main Dynasty league for the channel. And we'll talk about it each year and do the rookie drafts each year. You're going to want to become a part of that. Sick Nasty with his membership question says... let's see. Zamir White or Zach Moss in best ball? God, that's close. Probably say Zamir White by a hair, but I almost want to divide that up, my guy. I almost want to switch that up. Rock Out, after this year, Las Vegas might give you residency, says Rock Out. Rock Out, I wish someday you'll be able to come hang out at an event like that. So hopefully someday you can. No pressure to get there. I know it's hard. Let's see, what else do we have? Celebratory messages, any gifted memberships? I don't think we had any. Thank you for my super chats. Rock Out dropping 2 doubles. What a monster Rock Out is. Let's play Rock Out's theme song if I can find it. It's somewhere around here. Rock Out, I don't know where it is. There it is.
This is Rock Out, and he's in the building. I be going spit that fire. I be going preaching to your choir, and the Rock Out going to get it on now.
Rock Out. Go watch this video on the main channel. Links in the description to the main channel. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show on the Dynasty channel. YouTube.com/Dynasty Fantasy Football. Subscribe if you're new. Make sure you get on over to that channel as well. I'm also on Spotify. My content's on thefantasyfootballshow.com, and my Instagram is The Fantasy Football Show. Pretty easy, right? See you all tomorrow.
He's Kyron, he's 7 feet tall, and he knows how to handle a ball. He's Kyron, he can take frowns and turn them upside down with his touchdowns.
Brees Hall is 8 foot tall. He will always answer the mother freaking call. Don't let him fall. In the third, don't stall. Just give Batman the freaking football.
He's Brees. He's Brees.
He does a whole of a job. A whole of a job. A whole of a job.
Brees Hall, please report to the moon.
He does a...
Hi, my name is B. John Robinson. I like long walks on the beach. And, well, I also like scoring A-Chan. A-Chan is the man. His haters call him small.
But he is 9 feet tall.
A-Chan is the man.
Your Bijan card has been revoked.